quilts on the show today. I mean, ha ha ha, ha, beautiful, right? But let me show you another couple. Yeah, another couple of options. HP, you'd need to be not on the fabric. Go on, off you go. Go and find Jane. So we have got obviously this one behind me, which is the Carnaby Street, and you will get in this. Let me show you here. This is by Pat Bravo. I heart this one a lot.
It's quite exciting fabric.
It is a very exciting fabric, and I love those pinks and teals. They are beautiful. And we planned this months ago, didn't we?
Yes.
I bought this in. This was going to be a half metre heaven, and then Jane spied it and went, no, and stole it and put it in the warehouse on her shelf. It's like having a house share, isn't it?
It is.
Jane put it on her shelf, and then we weren't allowed to touch it. and actually it's a good job that we did, because we don't have these colours in the batiks anymore. They've all sold out.
Yeah.
So this is the last time that you will see these colours, there we go, in the batiks. But just look how beautifully they go with dinkety dink that. And that's the quilt behind. It's quite the juggling act doing
Need an
this.
extra hand.
Yeah, if only Half Pint was useful, she could, you know, hold up fabric and stuff. So that's one kit. These are coming in at $24.99. You get a metre of the feature fabric. So in this instance, look at this. This is Heather Bailey one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which is rather special, I have to say. Rather special. And then let me see if I can drape this across the sewing machine in some sort of artistic way. Oh, look, there's Jane, there's her hand. There's the other hand,
Way,
other hand. Woo!
No,
Oh.
can't do it. There, that one.
And then this happened. Yeah. And we were quite pleased with ourselves, not going to lie. Quite pleased with ourselves when we found these. How beautiful are they going to go?
Oh, that's gorgeous, isn't it?
You know when you revisit your work and you go, yeah,
Nice.
yeah, absolutely. We've only got 7 of those though. So if you want one of those, you're going to have to be super quick. And again, that's $24.99, half a metre, half a metre, half a metre, half a metre, a full metre. So that is 3 metres of fabric in each of these kits. It's a bit good, isn't it?
It is a bit.
Tis bit good. Now the way that we've done it today is, hang on. The instructions are not included in the kit. The $24.99 is simply your fabric. And then if you, because for the reason that I'm about to show, hang on, where's the William Morris one?
I was just looking at that. I'll go and get it.
Oh, you chopped it up, that's why.
No, there is another one.
Oh, is there another one?
Yeah.
Yeah, there is another one. There's a William Morris one. Yeah, so the reason is that we've done the kits with the feature fabric, and we've got a William Morris one, which is, well, Jane's just chopped one up. And then we also put together an ombre. So on these you need 5 different fabrics, but if you double the number of fabrics and go for 10, then you can get a full ombre situation happening. So as you know, a little fabric delivery had arrived yesterday. We might have rummaged through, mightn't we, Jane?
Yes.
And with the help of Captain Small, she was helping. Well, she was on stacking duty, wasn't she?
She was. She loves stacking the beauty.
She does like to stack stuff. She's very good at it. She's very strong. She's only 2. But imagine this, ombre'd, if you will, across your quilt. Look at those. So this is a long quarter of each of these. And then for your binding, we've put in a half metre of black, because that will it'll just give it a full stop. There we go. So all of these. So you've got 10 long quarters, and then your half metre. So get another 3 metre bundle of fabric here, and these are $19.99. That is option number 1. So my thought was that if I put instructions and added that cost into these, it might be that you want to make one of the feature ones and then you just want stash boosters, because that's what these are as well, isn't it? It's like a massive stash booster. So I didn't want to add that cost of the pattern in, and also some of you want downloads now, some of you want paper, and we cater for all. And so then it just... But if you buy one of those and instructions, you're going to get £5 off. Ha ha ha! Nice. So that's almost like, so you've just paid £1 for your instructions. That's really good actually, isn't it? Ooh, I'm liking that. Right, so the other thing that we have is the cools, the blues. The blues. Let's, these... I know Emma will be sitting at home, Emma who works with us, who has happily loaded all of these this morning, and she'll be going, she loves the reds. I'm sitting here going, I love the blues. And actually I go with one of these today, don't I? Your binding fabric in this is your navy. I'm still singing in the navy from Monday. It's still on my mind. Right, let's see if I can flip this over to here to, yes. Look at that. So we go all the way from ivory through to your cool blues, to your teals, and then through to your beautiful greens there, and then all wrapped up very nicely in your ½ metre of navy. Thank you very much, £19.99 for 3 metres. 3 metres of fabric, £19.99. Amazing. www.natashamakes.com. You can either search Workshop Wednesday, or just, I don't know where else is it going to be, or just, oh yeah, you could just search Trip Around the World, it will all come up. The other thing, lots of messages, I'll get to those in a minute. Becky says, morning everyone, missed yesterday, need to catch up, these fabrics are fabulous. Yeah, they kind of are, yes. Something else to let you know, we have got gift cards available on the website for you. So if you are starting to think about Christmas, or if you've got birthdays or anything else, or if you've got a husband that doesn't know what to buy you and you'd quite like to actually have stuff that you like, then gift cards are available. Just saying. Oh, there's the William Morris one. Let's show you this as we're just saying. This was another one, wasn't it? This was going to be ½ metre heaven, and then you caught a little beady eye on it, and that was the end of that. Jane's like, just having this one, Tash. It's a good job I hadn't. Yes. And actually, that looks, those little crowns look a little bit like pumpkins, don't they?
A bit, yeah.
It feels quite appropriate, quite autumnal and fabulous. And so again, this one is £24.99. You get a metre of your William Morris, you get a ½ metre of in the navy, and a ½ metre of cadet blue. Oh, it's very force based, isn't it? Armed forces based. And then some of the some of the beautiful batiks in golden and sunshine yellow. I mean, yeah, Laurie loves all the colours. What's not to love, Laurie? It's really hard to choose, but I just, ooh. And Jane's going to demo in this, so if you love the William Morris, then you can, you'll get a better look at what that's going to look like made up. There are 2 ways of looking at these, aren't there? You can either buy the fabrics because you love the fabrics and you might think of a project to do, or you might love the project and then choose fabrics. We are not here to judge, we are merely here to serve. And so you buy whatever you like. Right, what else have I got to show you? Okay, because Halloween is days away, we have a handful of the bunting packs left, and a handful of, and I meant to bring them out, the treat bags, you know, with the Kay fabric and the Tim Holtz fabric and the little pumpkins, those ones. These kits where you get your William Morris, your, actually it's Brandon Mabley for Case Facet in the jumble, and you get your black, and then you get your 2 felt pumpkins and full instructions with both of these kits. I've halved the price, so they're going out at cost, so that you guys can just grab them. They're no good to me, there's no point in me having them. If you guys can give them a good home, then do, or grab a bargain and have them for next year. They're not going to go off.
No.
At all. So there we go. We've got those on the show for you today. Do take a look at those. I'm going to skiddly-addle over to... Oh, I would. Guess who's on my seat? Thanks, Half Pint.
It'll be nice and warm for you.
Yeah, she's
if you
keeping
dare
it warm.
move her.
Oh, we'll see. Wish me luck. I'll be back in a minute. Go on then, Jane. I would theoretically high-five you as I go past.
Yes.
Over to you.
Thank you.
Sorry, HP, I need that seat. Come on, Pussycat.
Good morning, everybody. How are we on this lovely Wednesday morning? It's sunshine in here. We had a miserable day yesterday, didn't we? It just rained all day.
It was a good day to be in.
And I got home and my mum said, oh, we can have no rain here. And I was like, oh, thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, I always used to get that when I lived up in the Midlands and my parents lived in Cornwall. They'd be like, oh, it's 10 degrees warmer down here. You're like, thanks. Thanks.
Yeah. So we're going to do the William Morris one today. The trip around the world is lovely. It's a nice, quick-ish quilt to do. Most of the work in this is in your preparation, really. Once you've got
stripping.
Stripping and sewing together, sewing strips together. Once you've done that bit, it's quite a quick one to do.
Cool.
It's not hard, and people look at it and think, oh my gosh, have you cut all those squares and sewn them all back together? Well, you sort of have, but you haven't. They did in the old days. It was one to use for charm quilts, and charm packs are traditionally, in the olden days, people would, because fabric was quite scarce and expensive, people would cut a 5-inch square of their fabric and share it. So you'd do a swap, and that's like the charm part of it.
Oh, I didn't
know
know
that. And so
that.
that's how charms came together, and people would have all these odd fabrics and they'd sew them together in this trip around the world, which looks, we've done it in quite a uniform colourway, but it can look equally as nice in scrappy fabrics.
Is this something that we should look at doing as a community, as a Natasha Makes community, having a charm swap?
It's a nice idea, isn't it?
That's really lovely. Yeah. I have no idea the logistics of that.
I don't know how you'd manage it. I mean, people do it. I've been to workshops and people have said, oh, I loved your fabric, and likewise, and you just swap a little bit. Here, have that. You can have what's left over of this, or I've got this much left over, or whatever. It happens quite a lot in the quilting community, I find. I think we're quite good at sharing stuff. We like to share ideas and tips and hints and stuff and things like that, and it's lovely, and I've always found that we're very good at sharing things.
So do you know who's sharing with us today? We've got Colette, we've got Jane, and we've got Susan, we've got Heather, we've got another Susan, we've got Rona and Beverly and Pam, good morning, and Sheila and Simone as well, and Alison and Elizabeth, good morning, and Helen, who says, morning, alone again, only 40 more boats to pull out, and then they all go back in at March.
Oh.
But it's fine. It means it's guilt-free watching.
It is.
Yeah. Wendy's there, and Hilary, and Stephanie, good morning, and Claire as well. Claire says, hello, kitten, too. She's 15 years old. She's getting on.
Gosh. That's old.
Yeah, no, she's nearly 15, yeah. Daryl's here, and Sheila, and the crafty purple cat, and Irene, and Jackie, good morning, good morning, good morning, and Dorothy, and Iona, and Lisa, hello. Sun's out in Northern Ireland too, there we go, and Christine, good morning, and Anne, and Glenn, hello, and Kate. Oh, that's nice. Glenn and Kate started watching at the same time. Coordinated family gathering. Sue says she loves her stripology ruler. You're not alone.
No.
Natalie says, morning ladies from a wet and gloomy South Wales valley. Yeah, but how's the hamster? That's what I want to know. And Vivian's watching, and Grace, and Kate says hello. And Heather's had coffee and 2 chocolate biscuits, so she's ready to go.
Ooh.
Jane made pumpkin cake. It was amazing.
Pumpkin cupcakes this morning for breakfast, didn't we?
We did. And pizza.
And
There's
pizza.
nothing wrong in that. Breakfast of champions, Jane.
Yeah.
Breakfast of champions.
For Natasha, it's lunchtime anyway because she's been up for hours, so it's like
Good point.
Pizza is like
That's
like
all right,
a
isn't
lunch,
it?
really.
What is the pattern repeat on the Carnaby fabric, please? Says Margaret.
It is. Well, it's just over 2.5, which is why it works so well because I actually fussy cut this. It's It's 2.5 really, give or take, from there to there, because it's just stripes. Let's show you the fabric.
I love this. I heart this very, very much.
It's beautiful, and you can't. Can we go close up?
Yeah. So this is manufactured by Art Gallery Fabrics. They feel so different, don't they? And
Yes.
actually even says on the selvage, feel the difference. And
Yeah,
they're
it
so
does.
right.
They're almost, they're not, but they're almost like lawn, aren't they? They've
So
got
that's
that
because
sort
of
feel to them.
the fibres that they use at Art Gallery Fabrics are finer
Yes.
but strong
Yes.
cotton fibres. So they
Yeah.
really pride themselves on that. So it's like a midway house between quilting weight and lawn. You're quite right.
Yeah.
But
It's
so
lovely.
super strong. It's beautiful.
It's gorgeous, and I had really good fun with this because I cut it into strips. You can see on this, it's got quite a defined stripe on it, and along the width of the fabric, I actually fussy cut it so that it was. Can we go closer?
Yeah, of course you can.
I actually fussy cut it so I got one of those widths in there. It was slightly wider. So I lost a little bit of one strip, which is why you've got a metre of your print fabric, because if you want to fussy cut it, and likewise with the Heather Bailey, you could fussy cut that into strips as well.
There's a bit of a feeling of Art Deco about that
Yeah,
one, isn't
that's
there? It's
very
really
lovely. And the William Morris, I don't think it goes through the width of the fabric. Well, I suppose it does. You could get that sort of crown, which we think looks like a pumpkin shape. It's pomegranate. It's pomegranate. You could get that as well if you wanted to. The only thing I will say to you is if you do the method I'm using, it's all right fussy cutting your strips, but as I found then, when you're subcutting it,
Let me switch you across.
You don't always get the full piece in the square. Now you could fussy cut when you're subcutting it as well if you want to, but I didn't, and I just was with whiz, and then afterwards realised what I'd done. So some of the squares you get the full piece in, and some of them you get a different shape, and some of it misses it together. And it's quite interesting how it works. And on the pattern, when I'd done the images for the pattern, I kept looking at it, and they look like faces. They look like little froggy faces, which was quite interesting. It's funny what you see in a pattern, and then it changes completely when you cut it up smaller. That's the beauty of patchwork.
Oh, Leanne's loving the gift card idea. She will be telling her hubby.
Yes.
Oh, and I also feel that we should give an update on the Christmas sort of adventy type things, hampery type things.
I've just been sourcing some really lovely stuff.
Haven't I?
Yes.
I mean, it's tough, but somebody's got to do it.
It's a hard job.
Right, exactly. So what I have managed to find for you is an Advent one. And these are going to be really limited in number because I'm just finding my way and sourcing
it's sort of for you, isn't it? So
yeah,
we'll
really
work our way
beautiful
through.
things. And so this isn't, and also I made the decision that this isn't a money making exercise. This is something nice for Christmas. So, you know, there's going to be really good value in this. We will do an Advent one, so you get your 24 gifts, possibly 25 if I can squeeze in a little something for Christmas. We will do a 12 days of Christmas one for something in between, because I think Kate's idea is a brilliant one, and that may well have little projects and things for you to do as well, because
yes, I think that period for some of us between Christmas and and through to the 6th of January can be a bit quiet, can't it? We're still, you know,
especially this year.
Yeah, definitely this year, because we all know there's not going to be the big New Year's Eve firework displays and stuff like that. They've already cancelled the one in London at the Thames. They're not doing that one.
Is it wrong that part of me is slightly relieved for my animals?
Well, yes, because I'm not much into the New Year one. I love Christmas more.
Yeah.
You know, New Year's Eve's fun, but yeah. And so, yeah, I think for some of us it's going to be even more quiet than normal. And I think to have a little gift that you can open each day just to brighten your day and maybe a little project to do would be lovely.
Maybe it'll be the 12 projects of Christmas.
Oh, how lovely.
Maybe we should do that.
Yeah.
And then, and then on Christmas, for Christmas Day, if you happen to have another half that doesn't know what to buy you, then obviously there's the gift card option. But also we will put together a couple of different options in terms price-wise of gifts, so that you can have something sewing based.
But it's a surprise.
Yeah, that is a surprise for you. Either a mega one or a, nice. And so we'll vary the price range. So that's just the update on that. And I'm still working on exactly what is going in, but stuff is arriving on Saturday. So once I've rummaged through there, I will know even more. Ooh! And Laurie loves your pink scarf, by the way.
Oh, thank you, Laurie. It looks a bit tatty now. It's moved itself around. I don't move it because my microphone's attached to it.
Oh, no, don't.
It'll come undone as the day goes on. Right, so you choose your fabrics, choose which ones you're going to do, and then decide in which order you would like your fabrics to be. I've decided I would like the William Morris with the blues next to that and the yellows next to the blues, and then we'll start again. With the 4.5 meters and the meter piece, you're going to do a 5 repeat. So with this pattern I've done, it's a 10 repeat. So that's why we've done 10 with the ombre. So you would have one of each colour, and you decide which order you want those to be. So half of this project is about organisation, and it's about deciding what you want to do before you do it. And then when you start doing it, you think, I wish I'd chosen a different way, because that's what happens.
Every time?
Not always, but sometimes you'll go through and you'll think, I wish I'd started with that colour. And you can do that because you can change it round. I'll show you how.
Okay.
So you want 10 strips, 2.5 inch wide with this one. You can do it smaller, you can do 1.5, you can do bigger squares if you want to, but not with this amount of fabric. You can do smaller with this amount of fabric, but you can't do bigger. So you've got 10 strips, which is where your stripology comes in really handy, because you can just whiz up. And so from this, the 1/2 metre bundle with the metre piece, you've got the metre piece because what I did was I used the rest of the metre piece to do the binding with. And that's what I've gone with the pattern, because I think that sort of finishes it off.
Yeah.
With your long quarters, you've got a 1/2 metre piece, which is for your binding. It's more than you need. You're going to have a little bit left over, but your long quarters are exactly what you need.
Perfect.
You're going to get 4 out of each piece of your long quarters.
Nice.
So you need 4, because you need 4 sets of your colourway. So for your 1/2 metre pieces with your metre piece, you need to cut, from each fabric you need to cut 8.
Okay.
So that you've got 4 sets of 10. And
this is all in the instructions, by the way, so don't
be overwhelmed by this bit, because it's just, as I say, it's all about organisation. And I've got these lovely pins, and I think Natasha's been able to source these pins.
I have just ordered them.
So I think they'll be on the website shortly.
Do you want to show one close too?
Yeah.
Because I thought this was a genius idea as soon as you showed me them, and they're super cute. Look, it's like a little mannequin.
It's like a little mannequin, and they've got numbers on, and they go from 1 to 10. And I think there's 100 pieces, so there's 10 of each pin.
Yeah, yeah. They're not the cheapest pins in the world.
No, they're
because
not.
I mean, but
But
look
they're
at them.
lovely. They're lovely long pins as well.
There's 100 in a set.
They're really nice long ones. They're not particularly fine, but they're great. They're good pins. They're nice strong ones. They're so easy. So it's a good brand.
I think they work out about 10p a pin.
Yeah,
which is fine.
Put them on your Christmas list.
That gift voucher.
Yeah, and today you get that bonus, don't you?
Oh yeah. You get your £5 off. Jo says baby scan went well yesterday, so she can officially tell people she's going to be a nana.
Oh, how lovely! That's exciting. That's something to look forward to.
It really
is. We all need things to look forward to, don't we? At the moment.
Dawn doesn't have her BM exercise this morning as it's half term.
Oh.
I love the fact that Dawn does BM exercise.
Is that cycling with the children to school?
No. I think, and Dawn, you can tell me if I'm right or wrong. It's on like a proper cycle track with a BMX.
With BMX, yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I could even.
Oh, I bet that's a lovely adrenaline
manage
rush.
a bike these days, but
Yeah.
good on you. I salute you. Oh, Geraldine's making ginger cake.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Yeah, I like the sound of that, Geraldine.
Ooh. Oh, block of the month, because Geraldine's waiting for the next block of the
Oh,
month.
yes. Okay, confession time. We're having a little bit of an issue with the shipping of the fabrics.
It's on its way.
It's on its way,
It's
but
just
it
been
won't
held
be
up.
here for next month. So, next week, we're doing block 7. So when you get your pack, don't think I've gone completely bonkers. And,
Well, you can, but it's not true.
Have you fallen asleep and missed the last 4 blocks or something? It's because I have enough fabric for block 7, but I don't have enough fabric for block 3. So we're going to just skip forward, and we're doing block 7 next week. But we're going to make it. We'll put it to one side. It's going to be there for your quilt. So I haven't gone crazy much. Yeah. So that's what's happening.
It was always going to be touch and go,
Yeah.
wasn't it? And if there'd been no delays, would have
Yeah.
been fine. But
Yeah.
shipping at the moment is...
We all know, don't we? And of course I chose blue fabrics, which are like hen's teeth at the moment. So, yeah, it's what it is. And we're sorry, and we wouldn't want to do it this way, but...
Does it make any difference which order we
No,
do it in?
I don't think it does. We could
Oh, there you
change
go
it to block 3 if we wanted to, but we're not. We're keeping it in sequence. It's block 7.
Okay.
So, yeah, just so we don't confuse anybody.
Margaret can actually hear HP purring through my microphone. I'm really sorry if you're getting noises off, but she doesn't
It's a
often get
very
my lap, and she's quite
contented-
happy.
Contented. It's not very often Natasha sits still long enough for HB to sit on her. Okay, right. So back to your trip around the world. Decide the order of your fabrics. Make a note of that order, whether you cut a bit of salvage off and paste it on the side of your pattern, whatever you need to do to remind yourself of the order that you're working in. So we're then going to sew them together into pairs. So, and just try and remember to keep your pairs in order. And you're going to you're going to sew them together, right sides together, and you're going to sew down the long length with your 1/4 inch seam. Let's do this. Get them together. Yeah. You can pin them, but they should all be the same size, so you shouldn't have to.
Now, Jane, you are super duper at sewing, and so you just whizzed these up with half pint's help this morning with a
Yes.
1/4 inch seam.
Yeah.
When I first started sewing, I did loads with not charm packs, jelly rolls and stuff.
Yes.
When I first started sewing, because they were easy, I didn't have to worry about colour or anything like that.
That's right.
But what I found was I couldn't sew in a straight line. I now realise that my machine was partly to blame, it pulled to one side. But at the time, what I did to combat it was use one of those 1/4 inch feet that had a guide on the side. And
They're
I found
very handy if
that
you've got one of
helped me
those. Yeah,
so much.
they do, particularly for this
Yeah.
sort of sewing where you've got a seam edge that you can sew against. That really does help. Yeah, those 1/4 inch feet are great. They are really good. And if you've got your machine that moves over like this one does, you know that you're lining everything up with the edge of your foot. We seem to have tapered off a little bit on our cutting there. This is what happens sometimes when you cut lots of layers together at once. They can move underneath. But I'm not going to worry about it. It's less than 1/8 of an inch, so it'll just work its way into the seam. So you're going to sew them all together in pairs, and what you're going to do now is I'm going to press them so that the seam on these ones is either to the left or the right, whatever you decide, because you'll have a dark fabric and I want my seam to go under the dark fabric, so it's to the right this time. I think in the instructions I say press them all to the left. Whatever you decide, do them all the same way. So you're going to just press the seam, press it down to set it, and then just push that fabric up and just press it to one side. And press all of those strips the same direction, so that you've got all those pairs together, and you will have then 5 pairs joined together in your colour. And what I suggest you do for your very first block, because you make 4 blocks, just keep putting it back on your mat in sequence. It's the
Okay.
easiest way of doing it. I'm
No,
just
that's
gonna
good. Alison says that the trip around the world is one of her favourite patterns, and she loved learning it from you back in the days when workshops were part of everyday life.
Yes.
Now you just get to have workshops from the comfort of your own home.
Yeah, it's a hard life, isn't
It
it?
is a hard life.
So you'll have those all done, sewn together in pairs. This is why I say the preparation side of this is the biggest part, really, I feel. And you end up with all these...
And yet you did all this morning, so...
Well, I didn't get as much done as I would have liked to have done,
well,
but there you go.
HP was helping.
That's what happens. Life's like that, isn't it?
Donna's very excited because she just ordered the Heather Bailey. And glad you did, because that's sold out now.
Wow.
So well done to everyone that got
weren't
that.
many were there, to be fair.
It was pretty beautiful.
It's just pretty colours, and it was a happy accident again, wasn't it? We'd put the chambray next to it and we were like, ooh, that's nice. And then we put the magenta next to it and we were like, ooh, that's even nicer.
That's the one. That's the one. Oh, Claire agrees with me. She says those feet with a guide are great for beginners. I used mine for ages until I knew where my line was.
Yes.
Now she's upgraded to a machine that moves the needle, so she doesn't need it anymore.
Lovely.
Ooh,
That's lovely.
very posh. Very posh. Oh, now Ben's joined us
What have I
from a
done
very
here?
wet and windy St Leonard's on Sea.
This is why you need to keep your numbers, because you just saw me then put a strip down in the wrong place, and I was like, oh, hang on, that doesn't work. So you then sew your strips together, your pairs, sew them together into fours. So just put your pairs together, and it's just sewing down the seam to make into four. So you'll have 2 sets of 4, and you'll have one odd one.
Oh, half pints now are bluting, so apologies to anyone.
You've got a
that-
licking sound
yeah,
going on.
that gets those noises as well. I'm really sorry, but she's having such a lovely time. She's an old girl, and it's nice if she can have a little cuddle every now and then.
Yeah, she doesn't get to get them very often, I should imagine. You hardly sit still, so I'm sure that she doesn't very often get to sit on you.
She tries to sneak into the bedroom at night, and but I think she gets a bit upset if Emily's in there, because she'll kick her out the way. And they have a bit of an argument over who gets prime position.
Oh. I'm going a little faster than I should really with this machine. So if you just do lots of stitches.
Oh, now Natalie's hamster made a bid for freedom the other night,
Oh no.
and looked very disappointed when she was found sitting behind the cushions on the sofa.
At least she didn't go under the skirting board or something like
Oh,
that.
that's what you absolutely dread, isn't it?
Because they can get into the smallest pet space, can't they?
I used to love my hamsters when I was little.
I had
had-
gerbils when I was...
Did you?
Yeah.
You see, they move a bit quicker than hamsters.
I loved my gerbils.
I was convinced when I was a really little child, I was convinced that you could, because we had gerbils at school. I was convinced that if you took a gerbil and just cut its tail off, it would become a hamster. I didn't.
No,
I'd just
I
like
was
to say
gonna
I
you didn't do that.
but I was convinced that that was how it happened,
Oh.
and that was the only difference. I didn't understand, but no, I had Hamish and Haley and all sorts of hamsters.
Oh. So this seam, when you've done the 2 together, you press that seam opposite way to the way you did them originally. So if I show you on, if we can go a close up on this,
Yes.
you can see the 2 pairs, the seams going that way, and then when I join the 2 pairs together, the seams going the other way. So when you come to join these, you'll have 2 seams going in and 2 seams going out. It helps, it really does, if you can do this rather than having them going all the same way. You'll see why later on. Okay, so you're going to have, and again, just pop them down on your desk and just make sure that you've got them going the right way in the right order. This is why I say it helps if you do yourself a little key or something like that so you can remember. It's not so difficult when you've got the long quarters and you've only got one fabric of each colourway. But again, it's very easy to flip the pair round and get them in the wrong order. So now you're going to put this 2 onto your 4 to make it a 6. As I say, there's a lot of long seaming going on at this stage.
Oh, Elizabeth says, do you alternate which is the top to start sewing? She's found that otherwise her strips start to banana.
Yes, you can do that, yeah. But by sewing them into pairs and then sewing the pairs together, that also stops bananaing.
Oh, okay.
If you went from 1 through to 10 and just sewed one on after the other,
yeah,
that's when it really does start to curve.
okay.
And sewing one from the top and one from the bottom helps. When you do the 2 pairs together, it's not so much, but yes, if you wanted to sew your pairs together from the top and then join the pairs together from the bottom, that will help as well.
Excellent. And Susan is loving the smaller ruler, the Creative Grids marked one in the quarters and the 8ths. Oh, the itty bitty ones.
Yes, they're lovely.
Yeah, I when I was doing the swimming geese, the Tilda swimming geese one the other day, I used that and it was an absolute godsend. It was brilliant.
Yeah,
Absolutely brilliant.
when you've got little small pieces, they're brilliant, aren't they? Because particularly if you've got that 7/8 of an inch.
You need
marking.
rulers for everything, don't you? There's never, I'm with Geraldine, you can never have too many.
No, definitely not. Everything to make your life easier, really.
Absolutely. Yeah, Jessie just wants to add some stuff to her order, and this is something just for everyone to bear in mind. If you have checked out and there's something else that you want to add on today, we can't add it onto yesterday's orders or anything like that. It's only an on-the-day situation. If you pop a little email to SJ, so that's info@natashamakes.com, then she can help you sort that out and sort out the postage as well, so that you don't have to pay double your postage if you find something else that you just simply must have.
So again, we're just pressing that seam the opposite direction to the others so that we get that 2 going in, 2 going out situation. And then we're going to sew the 4 to the 6. But again, just pop it back on your worktop, check that you've got it the right way round and it's in the right sequence, because it would be very easy to turn it. Particularly at this point, you've got your 5 fabric at both ends.
Yeah.
So it would be very easy to think, oh right, yeah, I'm sewing the light yellow to the dark yellow. But you might get that side, in which case it wouldn't. You'll get a different pattern, it'll be quite interesting.
It's not possibly the one that you...
Not maybe the one you wanted to start with.
Do you know what? Now I see those oranges and yellows together. Aren't they really warm?
They're lovely.
Gorgeous.
They are lovely.
I am loving that.
What you will find as well is that you'll probably find that your strips are different lengths. Don't worry about it. Just pair up the 2 that you're working on. Make sure they're level at the top, because you're going to trim them off anyway. And you start cutting them, subcutting them up. So don't worry about it.
How many ways we can find to worry about stuff, isn't it?
Yeah. I think particularly when you're new to it and you spend a lot of time worrying about things that actually, as you get more confident with your sewing, you realise that they're not a problem. But I think when you don't know and you're not sure, you can worry about things that you'll learn actually don't matter at all.
So my question to you is,
Yeah.
would you go for the cool or the warm out of the 2 ombre collections?
Well, I'm a cool person, really. I love blue. I love sea colours. Turquoises and blues and greens are my favourite colours. But I looked at that warm one this morning, and I don't know whether it's the time of year or what it is, but I was just like, ooh, that's really nice. I mean, I love them both. I'd probably have to put both in my basket.
So my question is, would you be making this quilt with it, or would you just be putting it into your stash?
Possibly, yeah, I don't know. I might buy both. Make the warm one today into a trip around the world, and then keep the cool one. Maybe
For a
do
summertime
a
one?
Bargello with it or something.
No, hang on. Let's talk Bargellos, because you threw that out at me today and went, oh, well, you know, Bargellos, we could just do one of those as well. When can we just do one of those?
Well, we can do it whenever. We've got a couple of programmes in the pipeline, haven't we?
Yeah, should we explain about next week?
Yeah. You
So-
might have to put it with me twice.
Yeah, because, and it's Jane's fault. She's given herself extra homework. Jane has come up with a really beautiful, beautiful design that looks like a poppy. And when we were looking at the diary, we suddenly realised that if people wanted to make these and hang them in the window for remembrance, we need to get on it quickety, quick. So that's going to have to be
Next week,
isn't it?
Yeah.
So, and we'd probably best do it sooner rather than later, actually, hadn't we?
I think so, yeah.
Should we do that on Monday and put some beautiful
why not? If you're
things
happy
together? I am,
Okay.
because then Tuesday, that gives me a little bit of extra time then to put together some... I'm just going to say it smells amazing and leave it at that.
Ooh. We know. Right, so this is your strip set now. So you've got your 10 strips in order. You're going to now put them together and make them into a tube. Now, it's not just a case of flipping it over and putting it that side, right sides together. What you'll need to do is you'll just need to balance it, hang it, so that it's hanging straight, so that this edge does hang flat, which might mean that it's not level at the top. And as I said, that's not important. It's important at this stage that you don't get a twist in your 5 strips. You want them to hang straight. And if that means just twiddling them around until they are hanging, it might come down, it might go up, but just make sure that it's straight. That's quite important at this stage. And I think I've put that in the pattern, you know, don't worry that the top edges aren't level. It's more important that it's lying flat. And you're going to then sew that together. So you're sewing 1 to 10.
Right, okay. And this is where if you've gone for the ombre one, you pick your 10, you put them in order,
Yeah.
and off it goes. I would imagine, because I expect Inga will be the one that cuts those, I imagine Inga will probably put them in an ombre order when she puts them in the packet, because that's the sort of thing that Inga loves to do. So, you know, you could just go with that, or you could do whatever order you like.
Yeah, you might want to change it round. You might want to put a light against a dark and have a different colour. What will happen, and if I just point to the sample behind us, this is fabric 1 here. So because this has got the white background, that's your focal part. So fabric 1 becomes your focal part. So just think about that when you're putting your colours together.
Right.
What do you want to see as your focal bit?
So, but if you're going with the ombre, which has got 10,
Yeah.
then...
You will still get, in it, you will get a band
Nice.
that is more dominant
Yeah.
than the other. It might be the light one or it might be the darker colours, whichever one. On the cool colours, I was looking at it, and that teal is quite dominant in those colours.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
this
yeah.
band of these lovely turquoises, those colours there, they might be the bit that your eye focuses on.
Yeah.
Or you might want the lighter side of it, the turquoise, the more turquoisey bit. You'll see it when you do your first one. You'll see how the colours work, and you can adjust it.
Perfect.
So if you don't like it, you've got enough fabric. You'll make, because it makes into quarters. It comes in quarters, and you add a strip to it, which I'll talk about later. But you've actually, with your offcuts, I think you can actually get 6/4 out of it.
Right.
You sort of get 1.5 from each strip set, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you can actually make it slightly bigger.
Oh, nice. Oh, lovely. Oh, no, see, Liz missed out on the purpley pinky one.
Oh, that's a shame. I'm sorry, but we'd only got a small bolt of that fabric.
But she said at least now it saves her husband from crying when more fabric arrives. I mean, I love the positive outlook. There's always a win-win, right?
There is. There's always a silver lining, isn't there?
Oh, Ben says very, very correctly, if you laid the colours out and viewed in black and white through the camera,
Yes.
would the dominant ones jump out? Absolutely, yes, of course they would.
That's always a good.
It's a good trick, isn't
It
it?
is, yeah. You can also get like a red filter. Some colour wheels come with a red filter on them. You can sometimes get it.
Oh.
And that takes the colours out and you see the tonal finishes. That's another way.
Can you
So red,
You know when
your
you-
Quality Street, your strawberry flavoured Quality Street.
yeah.
You take the cellophane wrapper off that, the red, and then look at you go through the sun.
So
It's a good
when
excuse.
supermarkets get a sudden surge in their
Strawberry flavoured Quality
yeah.
Street.
we'll blame you. We'll blame you entirely. I mean, thanks for giving us that excuse, Jane. Now the stripology rulers. I have said before many a time, probably the reason stripology rulers is probably the reason I'm here, because actually they suddenly made cutting safe for me and accurate, and suddenly I could actually make things that looked good, and yeah, they saved me so much time in my prep and everything else.
Yes,
I do
amazing.
attribute the stripology ruler with a lot in my life, so that's why, because they are finally back in stock, that's why we've done the spend £50 get £5 off today.
So you've got your tube now, so it's a tube with your 10 strips all sewn together. Lie it flat on your mat, and this is why I said just play with it a little bit, make sure that it's lying flat, because now you're going to subcut it up this way through the seams. So you want it to lie as flat as you can. And this is where your stripology will come in, because it'll make it nice and quick and accurate. So,
And it really does, doesn't it?
yeah. Line it up with the base of the lines on the ruler. I go with the white line when I'm doing it. There we go. Along the bottom there. Make sure it's across so that you're not going to cut into your selvage. And this is why I say it doesn't matter if it's not straight on this edge here. So line that up, and then we're doing 2.5-inch strips.
So every time you see the square at the bottom, pop your cutter in. Just be a little bit careful, because the other day obviously I managed to cut through the binding on my pressing mat because I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
And Geraldine said that she would have to eat the strawberry Quality Street. I mean, yes, obviously. Perks of the job, right?
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, it would be rude not to,
Yes.
I think.
Now, this stripology goes up to 20, which is 8 strips. So, which is perfect for your ½ metre, because you only need 8 strips from it. So once you've cut those strips...
Sue says, do you line up the ruler to the stitching or the raw edge? The stitching.
Stitching, because it's probably your straight line, but if you match it up to the raw edge, it should be fairly straight anyway if you've used your stripology in the first place, because they're nice and flat. So just move that across, and I'm just going to cut 2 more strips.
Oh my goodness, they look gorgeous already.
This leftover bit, and at this point it may have just bowed slightly, so if you want to just straighten it off, just trim a little bit extra off the end, you can certainly do that. So it happens.
Geraldine says that stripologies are great for squaring up blocks as well as cutting strips.
Yeah, definitely.
And obviously the unlooked for advantage that you can join Natasha strippers. We need to get badges. I need to source Natasha stripper badges.
Definitely.
Maybe it just needs to be a hat, because you can leave your hat on. Would that be wrong?
No, I think that's good. I think that's good.
I mean, that's how my mind works, which is wrong. Now,
So you can see here how much you have left over.
well, that's a cushion, surely.
Well, as I say, you can make your actual quilt bigger if you
Oh,
wanted to.
Okay.
Because you'll have 4 of these. The combination of the 2
Yeah.
will make another 2/4. So you can make it longer or wider. And I'm going to, if we get time, I'll show you a different variation of this
that's
pattern.
a bit special.
That you can. It's only a case of twisting the block, get a zigzag shape.
Hang on. Liz says,
I just realised my bobbin ran out halfway through that, sewing that strip together.
oh no. Well, whilst you do that, Liz says, when you finish looking through the Quality Street wrapper to look at the materials, if you wear them over your eyes for a quarter of an hour before you go to sleep, your dreams will be red too. The brain is a magical thing. Is that true? Is that actually a thing?
It must be. They wouldn't tell you lies, Natasha.
Well, I would hope not. And Owen P. Silver, I'm really sorry, I can't, I'm rapidly
Low.
trying to, low, that's it. I see, I couldn't remember, it went from my head. Says, we're never allowed to eat the purple ones, they were Dad's. Everyone has that
Yeah,
thing.
Purple ones are my favourite.
Are they yours?
Yeah.
Purple ones are
and
yours.
the green ones.
And the green ones.
Yeah.
You see, Emma, who works with us, we've been friends for 20 plus years. And when her daughter was little, and I just used to go round in the evenings and we'd have Revels, packets of Revels.
Love Revels.
And we
They
shared them
don't do
beautifully.
the peanut ones anymore, do they?
They don't do the peanut ones, but it meant that I could have the toffee ones and she would have the coffee ones.
I like the coffee one.
Yeah. And it was beautiful. We both liked the ones that the other didn't. So mine are always
Perfect
the toffees.
friendship.
Just so that you know. Just so that you know. Joanna missed the beginning of the show. Don't worry, you can catch up. Does one set of the fabrics make the quilt behind Jane, or do I need 2?
No, one set will make this quilt.
Yeah. Because you get 3 meters of fabric in each set, Joanna. So we've been very, very generous. I know, looking at the price, you might think that there can't possibly be enough fabric in there, but it is 3 meters. So if you've got the designer fabric in there, then it's £24.99. If you've gone for the ombre of plains, then it's £19.99. But again, it's still 3 meters of fabric.
Oh, there it is. I'm always putting this unpicker down and never been able to find it again. Right, you need your unpicker now. Okay, because you're sewing everything together. Now we're going to unpick it.
What? Hang on. What?
We're now going to unpick the seam between 1 and 10.
Oh, yes, of course. You know, I'd completely forgotten that this is how you do it.
Keep it as flat as you can and just unpick as you go. So 1 now is at the bottom here and 10 is at the top.
Okay.
Okay. And then...
So you don't start your first row, you don't leave your first row, you do this from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the next one is between 1 and 2. This is where I find out that I've unpicked the wrong one.
Mm-hmm.
The beauty of this is if you unpick the wrong one, it's really easy to sew it back together and then unpick the right one. So 2 goes at the bottom and 1 goes to the top. And as you can see, they then start to step down.
Nice. It's
So the
looking
next
good.
one is between 2 and 3.
So just be methodical, really.
Yeah,
With it.
work your way down. And this is where you might suddenly think, oh, actually, I don't like that.
What?
And so you can then look at your strip and decide if you want to change where your main colour or the one that's more dominant is coming in.
What is not to love?
The navy on this is going to look more dominant than the actual print, I think, when we come to it. If you get a little bit worried about where everything is going to end up, you can always just undo your strips and turn it down so that you can see each time. Sorry, I'm just making a pig's ear of this. You can see where it comes in the order. So you can just turn your strip round and have a look. So this one, that was between 2 and 3. So then we go between 3 and 4. And you just work your way down methodically, unpicking the next one down. And as I say, if you make a mistake and you unpick the wrong one, which is easy to do, you know, we've all done it, it's very easy. Just take it to the machine, sew the seam that you've unpicked incorrectly back up, and then sew the right one. It's quite easy with this when you've got the 5 repeat to forget where you are. So we're going between 4 and 5 now.
Elizabeth says, I don't know how anyone concentrates on work with Jane on the team full time. I'd get a slap with, get on with your own work. I was always easily distracted, but she is transfixed when you start your piecing. To be fair, we've stuck Inga in the warehouse, haven't we? Because we have to sort of try and attempt some social distancing,
yes,
don't
we do. We work hard, don't we, trying to keep distanced and
so
everything.
We've all sort of got a room.
And we're lucky that Natasha works here in the studio because her office is in here as well. I go and work in the cutting room generally because I'm amongst most of the fabric, and so I can keep going, can I use this for a project?
Yeah.
Oh, okay then.
Yeah.
If you must. So we come now, it's very easy to look at this and think, oh right, well I'm going navy next, so I'll unpick there. Don't be tempted.
Oh no, why?
It'll upset your flow.
Oh, okay.
Turn it over.
Flow upset.
Yeah, turn it over and unpick it in the right sequence. So this is fabric 6 and this is fabric 7.
Right.
And try and remember that, because you'll get yourself, this is what happens when you've got a repeat of 5. You can get yourself into a little bit of a muddle and think, oh, hang on, no, why isn't that working? And it's just because you've gone out of sequence.
Now Jo says that we could always ask Inga to design a hat for the strippers. Have you seen the mittens that she's designed with the Angora wool?
Beautiful.
They're absolutely beautiful. Last I heard, she was off to weigh them to see how much alpaca wool was needed for them. See, all these little things happen behind the scenes whilst no one's watching. Meanwhile, Geraldine doesn't mind if it's dark or milk chocolate. And who was it that had to have the green triangles? Joanna said green triangles all the way. Oh, they're a bit praline-y, aren't they? I love that.
Yeah, well,
very
I
nice.
like anything with a nut in.
Yeah.
I like nuts.
And Margaret says that nobody else can have the pennies. They are reserved for the people who can't eat chocolate because it gives her a migraine, and one of her niece comes out in hives. I would be so skinny if I came out in hives when I ate chocolate.
You can't imagine, can you, not being able to eat chocolate?
I know. I've done it for small periods of time in my life. I've gone without any sugar or anything like that. When I was training for the Olympics, I couldn't because the crash that I had.
That's a discipline though, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's a necessary thing. And I think, you know, we joke about it, but if it was life-threatening, then you would, wouldn't you?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it was a case that the dip in energy that it gave me, I couldn't manage to teach full-time and train full-time as well. It was crazy. Is that a whole quarter?
That is the quarter of the quilt. Yeah, it is.
You know what I mean? A whole quarter.
That is a quarter of the quilt. Now, we're going to sew it together in pairs, and then we'll sew the pairs together into 4s, and then the 1 pair onto the 4, and so on, and you will end up with the quarter of your quilt. The other quarter, you only cut 9 strips.
Because 1 has to be in the middle?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
hang on.
What you've got here, you've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So that's 1 there.
Oh, I see. So it goes slightly over the quarter mark, halfway
mark. So that's
mark.
1 there, and it comes to there. So that is the quarter there.
Okay.
And then this one is only 9 strips. Okay. Have a play, because you've got enough fabric, you can make more. So you could make it longer if you wanted to.
Amazing.
Because if you can see here, it finishes at the side on the blue. If you wanted to, you could make another strip on there, so you've got the white or your patterned piece there.
So
you can
then
carry-
you,
you
yeah,
can carry
then you
on.
change, don't you? You then
But
change
this-
what the emphasis is.
This strip here in the middle is an additional strip. So you've got a 10/4 there and a 10/4 here. Because what you do is you sew the 2 quarters together to get your V shape,
Yeah,
and they're both the same, but then the bottom one is flipped
the other way.
the other way. So you've then got your 10 there and your 9 here. This strip here, you'll cut from your fabric. Let me just move these to one side. From your fabric, you will cut from your, your leftover bits. You're going to cut 2 pieces,
Right.
and you'll decide which fabric you want to have in the middle. Now, obviously, on mine, I wanted to have the pattern piece.
Yeah.
But on yours, you may have a colour that you like more.
Yeah.
And you'll have decided this. Once you've done that first quarter, you see how it looks. And you think, well, actually, I'd rather have those colours in the middle. So I'm going to change my number order
Okay.
and do it. You can play with it like I just did there. You've got it laid out. If you don't like that order and you want to change it, you can sew, at that point, you can sew your tube back together.
Oh, and just
unpick,
swizzle it around.
change your number order, unpick it down.
That's very clever.
It's a really useful look at colour placement and how patterns work together.
Nice.
And it's an easy one to change it as you go.
Judy says you could use the counting pins to number them. Yeah, that's kind of what we did, wasn't it? That's why we've got them.
On my other one, on my selvage that I cut off on this bit, I unpicked it at 1 and then I stuck the pins in.
Nice.
So I'd got a constant reference on the side of my work mat where I was.
See, that's handy, isn't it?
Yeah.
And Julia says that she used to get easily distracted and that her school reports had that on them quite often. Strange enough, Freddie's has had that on his school report this term, that he is a fabulous big brother but gets easily distracted.
He's a button, isn't he? He's so bright, he's lovely.
Did you
Ingo
see
and I
that
were saying
photo?
this morning, you forget he's only 6.
Well, I know.
Because
Stephen
he
took a
we had
photo of him yesterday and he looked 16. I was like, what's going on? He's 6.
He's tall, but he's also got such an extensive vocabulary that we were having a conversation with him this morning about the colours. And it was just, nearly an adult conversation about things. And he was saying, well, you'll have to move those out because they were laying out on the floor or in the hall. He said, well, you'll have to move those because there's not much room to get past. And I said, no. And with I said, we'll be all right because you've only got little feet and you can get through, meaning he was a little... He said, I haven't got little feet.
He hasn't.
Lifted his foot up and said, look, I've got big feet. And I said, well, you need big feet because you're tall. I said to him, because, adults do this, don't they, to children?
Yeah.
I said, if your feet were smaller, you'd fall over because you'd overbalance. And he just looked at me and said, you silly woman.
Inga told him as well, he's going to get a complex about his feet because Inga told him that he could water ski on them, they were so big.
Oh, bless him.
He's size 3, adult size 3 feet. He's 6.
But he's all in proportion. I mean, he's not.
Bless him.
He's a star.
Oh, Diane's attempted to do some hand sewing while watching. In capitals, do not recommend this. Multitasking with Jane or Natasha does not work. Oh.
You're going to have 2 strips. So you're going to cut 2 strips from your leftover bits. And this is the row that goes in the middle to join the 2 blocks together. So you get this feature fabric in the middle. If you joined them together, you'd have 2, if I lift that up there, that's what would happen if you didn't put your middle bit in.
Which isn't the end of the world, it's just a different look, isn't it?
It just looks differently. So by adding this extra strip in, so you take 2 strips, and if you look at them, because I want to have the William Morris as the feature, if I did that, you'd have 2 together. So you just take out number 1. It's written in the instructions, and there's a little diagram there as well, so you can see what I've done.
Okay. I kind of feel that we owe people an apology. Deradine said that she tried to multitask last week and had to unpick a lot. This week she's just watching.
Should come with a warning. Do not attempt to try anything else while watching this show. So you can see now, by taking that one out there, I've got, that's fabric 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here we've got, it starts with 2. So it's 2, 3, 4, 5. So by joining those together, and you just, and as I say, it's easy joining these strips together. It's just a very short seam. I'm going to go back in a minute to talk about joining the seams together. Joining your rows together, I mean, not your seams. So there you've got that long strip that goes in there, and that will just balance out your pattern. When you come to join your strips together, and I've muddled all of this up, but we'll find it back again in a minute. This is what happens. It just goes into a mess like this, and you're like, what? This is why I say to you, keep it all in order.
I won't do a close-up, it's fine. Lou says that's amazing. She has size 4.5 feet and she's 5'8.5". But her excuse is that when she falls over drunk is that her feet aren't big enough to hold her up.
That works.
Use that excuse. That excuse.
Every time. That works.
Yeah, Elizabeth's just sort of feeling my pain about having to basically buy them new shoes every couple of months.
Yeah. This is what happens when they're growing, isn't it?
It's not just one pair of shoes though, is it? Because they need the trainers and everything else for PE and and new wellies and everything else.
Yeah.
The mums at school luck out because they get all these hand-me-down wellies and trainers and stuff and they're barely worn.
Brilliant. So when you join your twos together, your pairs of rows together...
Is it safe to come in on a close-up now?
Yeah.
Just checking.
What will happen is, because you've pressed your seams in opposite directions, you're going to get this lovely nestling effect. So that's how you get these lovely sharp corners. So you can see that all nestles together nicely because the seams are facing in opposite directions. Where you've joined your tube together, your seam will be sitting up like that, but you can just finger press that down as you sew.
I am absolutely loving this William Morris fabric. I'll be honest, I didn't think I'd like the orange and the yellow together.
I think it looks
It's
lovely.
beautiful. It's really beautiful.
Something's going on here.
Oh yeah, Diane is also worried about the ballet and tap shoes that also need to be bought. Happily, he's not doing ballet or tap yet.
Let's try again. That's it. I think I just got a thread caught up underneath her. And this time, when you're joining your rows together, you can press all the seams to one side. You can, if you want to, do alternate again, but don't worry if you don't, because what will happen when you come to join the rows together, if you've got them pressed all to the same side, when you flip the other one round, it will interlink. And you don't have to worry that when you've subcut your strips, you know, you've cut through the thread, and you don't have to worry that it's going to come undone because you're actually sewing over that seam now. So that sort of stops that worry about it coming undone.
Yeah, I think if you're gentle with it, you don't handle it too much, then all
This
is
is the point.
well.
When you come to put them together, just be careful that you don't pull it there, because it will, you know, it's easy for it to come undone.
But you have no other way, do you? Can't.
No.
I mean, you can't go backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards.
No, you drive yourself potty. So that's the basis of Trip Around the World, and you can just work your way through the strip sets. And because we've been able to nestle those seams, you get it joining together really nicely. So if you wanted to, because you can get another set from this, you can put the go in the other way, so you get like a zigzag shape,
Oh, nice.
which looks quite nice.
Yeah.
You can have them all facing the same way, so you get it going in a stripe across. You don't have to set it off if you don't want to. It'll go in a stripe across. So make your quarters up and then have a play with them, because you might want it so that the V comes into the middle and goes out, so it looks like an X shape.
Oh.
Put the
So
two
basically,
bits
don't sew them together until
Yeah,
you've
just
played how
make
you
your
want them.
quarters and then move them around and see what you like. Because again, once you're playing with the colours, you see different things.
Yeah.
So there we go. So that's it. That's Trip Around the World.
Well, that's very beautiful, isn't it?
It's it's a nice, quick. The time taking on this, the thing that takes the most time on this, is working out your colour combinations. And
Which
where
I
you-
love. That's one of my
Yeah,
favourite
I mean,
bits.
It's one of the
Yeah.
favourite parts. And then actually sewing all the strips together.
You know what we should have done, looking at it now? We should have done a monochrome one.
That'd be really nice.
Why didn't we think of that
White and
yesterday?
black, yeah. The quilting on this, I've done very straightforward quilting. I've gone in the middle one. I just measured halfway along the square and just went to that point on each one.
Mm-hmm.
On these ones here, I measured halfway there and went from the corner to the top and down. So that gives a sort of elongated. And I did that on all of the ones there. But
Yeah.
these ones here, you're just going from point to point. So if you feel confident enough, you don't need to mark it, because you're just following the point.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
If you want to mark that one so that you're sure you're in the middle, you can. If you want to look at it,
Yeah.
do it by eye. It all depends how confident you are. If you don't feel confident enough to do that, just carry on going straight over. You'll end up with a crisscross in that one,
Nice.
which will look lovely.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It doesn't matter, does it? It just doesn't
No.
matter.
So
I think having you as part of our makes team is going to make me start to look at how I quilt stuff more.
yeah.
Very much so. I'm a little bit lazy on it, and I
And I
tend to
think-
just go for straight lines.
When you're quite new to quilting, you're just starting, you spend a lot of time thinking about your colours and your fabric placement and carefully cutting and carefully putting things together. You put a lot of energy and time into making your quilt top, and then you're worried about ruining it. I know I was when I first started out. I'd put a lot of energy into making a quilt top, and then I was like, I don't want to quilt it myself because I'm scared I'm going to mess it up. You won't mess it up. It might not be the finished thing that you really want. And for the first couple of quilts I made, I took them to be long arm quilted. Because
Yeah, I remember you saying that, and I feel less bad about it.
I was worried because I didn't want to ruin my beautiful quilt top that I'd made.
So the honesty is that in the cupboards behind you are loads of patchworks that I've done. Waiting to be quilted, and I need to sort that out. I've also sourced, and hopefully they will be here at the weekend as well, some big sort of 1.5 by 1.5 pieces of backing fabric that
fabulous.
are really, really reasonable, really reasonably priced.
It's great to have a whole piece.
Yeah. Pam is loving Jane's Wednesday workshops. And Ven would like to know, if you had a jelly roll, is there a formula to work out how big your quarter can be?
Well, your jelly roll is 40 strips, isn't it? 42. So you can work. Generally speaking, jelly rolls, it's lovely when you get a jelly roll that's got one of each fabric in, but quite often they've got two of each.
Yeah.
So what I would do is I would look at colour values and put colour values together, so that you've got 4 of each colour.
Yeah, yeah.
It doesn't have to be the same pattern on the fabric, but if it looks similar, it will work.
Yeah.
My first Bargello I did with a jelly roll.
Oh, you did?
And they're slightly different fabrics, but the colour value is the same. So
Nice.
from a distance, you don't notice that it's different fabrics.
I think we have a handful, just 1 or 2 of the jelly rolls from Lewis and Irene from last
They'd
week.
be perfect because the 1/2 metre would do your binding.
Oh, and actually, one that slipped through the net is the Cityscape, which is all monochrome.
Yes.
And I need to add that onto the website. I don't know why we completely forgot to load that.
I think it was because it was on its own.
Oh,
and
okay.
Ben gave it to me separately.
And Elizabeth said that there would be a lot of buttons to stitch on if she didn't get the points to match on this. I mean, it would be another look.
If you really look closely at this, Elizabeth, not every single one does match. But from the distance you're looking at it, you can't tell, can you?
All the way from Malvern, no.
Yeah. As far away as possible. And as I've said before, if anybody criticises your point matching,
They are not your friend.
give them a biscuit and say, well done. Because unless they're a award-winning quilter, it's none of their business.
That's just it, isn't it? And I'd like to see them do better.
Yeah.
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 But I don't think people do. I think we're our worst critic. I think we're the ones that criticise ourselves the most.
Of course.
Because we're looking at it really up close when we're sewing it. And so every little eighth thread out makes us go, oh no, that doesn't match.
Hang on a minute.
But yeah, it's not the end of the world.
Julia, who watches every week, has just said, I've never made a quilt. The quilting part always scared me too much.
Yeah.
But you've made her think that it might be possible.
It is possible. And it, you know, even when you make quilts out of blocks and you put them together, even if you just quilt through the edge of the block, that will hold your quilt together enough.
Yeah.
Straight line quilting is enough.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be fancy feathers and circles and everything else. You can work up to that.
I actually discovered on the Beast, on the NX7, it's got a whole load of quilting stitches on there.
Yeah.
So how did I not know about that?
Yeah. There's one, I don't know if it's on the Juki or which machine it's on, but it does a wave.
Yeah.
A long wave, and it's perfect for quilting.
Perfect. And why don't we ever think about that? So actually, it might be that your machine has more things on there
than you know.
Yeah.
So get the manual out, because we're terrible, aren't we? You're not looking
Yeah.
at the manual. We just set it up and start sewing straight lines on it, and that's it.
Yeah.
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 And you fancy stitching as well. You know, you've got like sort of embroidery style stitches on there,
Use
so
a bit of
like
that.
stars and other things. Use those.
Perfect. And
Works.
Diane is happy to see that even on Kay Fassett's quilts, some had not got quite matching seams. See, he doesn't care. He's not losing any sleep over it. He's moved on to the next project.
This is it. The quilt's finished.
Absolutely.
And that's it. Do you want to have a finished quilt, or do you want to have a perfect quilt?
Life isn't perfect,
No.
but let's make it beautiful.
We can make it as perfect as we can.
Yeah. Laurie says, fantastic demo, so informative. Jane makes it so seem so much more achievable. Yes, it is.
Thank you.
Yes, it is. It's all achievable.
I want to finish this one now.
I know, I can see you
Love it.
itching to. I
Love
think
the
it's going to be
colours.
gorgeous. You know what Sofa that would be? Rather lovely.
This will look really nice in your lounge.
I know, I know. Look at it. Just let's have a moment to just appreciate. Actually, my favourite bit in that now is that yellow and orange. It's just beautiful.
My mum's got these colours in her lounge, orange and like navies and greys.
Well, I think we know where that one's going then, don't we?
Yeah.
Because I've got dibs on not next week's, but the week's after's quilt. Because next week is block of the month.
Yeah, we keep
Is that right?
forgetting, don't we?
I know.
Yes, and we're doing block 7. We haven't skipped ahead, and you've missed some.
Don't
It's
panic.
just a fabric
Don't
supply
panic.
issue.
Now, the next question is, oh yeah, Diane says success is better than perfection, absolutely.
Definitely.
Do we have next week, the week after's quilt?
Yes, it's on the.
I completely forgot to bring it in. I
Yeah.
said we must do that, and then
I'll
completely
nip
forgot
out.
to.
I'm going to just leave you looking at this beautiful quilt for a second.
I can't move, I've got the cat
No,
on my
you've got a
lap.
cat on your knee.
Yeah. That's always code in our house for you can't move because the cat's on your lap. Now, what we've tried to do over each month that Jane does her Wednesday workshops is to have one Wednesday will obviously be block of the month.
Yeah.
Then we'll have 2 smaller projects like this one
Yeah.
that come in at around, by the time you've got your instructions, around £30 there or thereabouts. So
Yeah.
it's, you know, it's affordable. That's what we want it to be, you know. And if you wanted to make it,
you can't be making £100 quilts every week, can you? It's not
it's not viable.
for.
But if you wanted to size that up, buy 2 kits.
Yeah.
But then we will have a bit of a showstopper every now and then.
Yeah.
And yeah, so Jane might have done it with this one because I heart this very much.
This is using the minerals.
Yeah, the William
layer
Morris
cake.
Minerals layer
So
cake.
I've come up with a pattern using a layer cake.
And yes. Yes.
It's not difficult. I've done a quilting pattern on there because you've got quite a blank space there.
Do you think, thinking about it, do you think we should pop that pattern
Well,
onto
I was going to talk to Josh about that to see if we could do it's like a template really,
Yeah.
so that you can trace it off and then pop it on.
That would be really nice.
If you want to do it the same, you know, you might just want to do something different, and we'll talk about that because this is the next stage up on your quilting. This is done with a walking foot, free motion foot, darning foot on your machine.
I just hear people, I can feel the fear from
yes,
here.
And
It's okay.
but I'll come up with something that we can do with straight lines as well. So, you know, if you don't feel that you're ready to go that far yet,
Mm-hmm.
then we'll come up with a straight line design to fill that space. I just felt that it's like a void, and sometimes it just needs filling with something. So yeah.
I heart this very much.
This is going to look absolutely fabulous on your sofa.
It's going to look fabulous anywhere.
Yeah.
Anywhere you put it. And actually that would look really nice on the leather sofa as well. It's just, because it's got all of those lovely neutral tones in it.
It's just
This
really
is going to be
nice.
one that's going to go everywhere. Everywhere.
There's no sort of uniform to this except we've gone light and dark.
Yeah.
So I'll talk about that.
How big is that? You measured it, didn't you, the other day?
What have we got here? We've got 60, haven't we? So
Yeah, Laurie, it is just one layer cake, but we've added in some of
It's
the
about
beautiful misty blue.
2-ish by 670-ish.
Okay.
It's one layer cake with is it a half metre of the seeded
can't remember if
calico, the
it's-
seeded linen,
Oh yeah, we did
cotton,
put some seeded,
cotton,
yeah,
seeded cotton because it's
which
got
is
that
beautiful.
lovely sort of texture to it, and then 3/4 of a metre of the misty blue because I just felt there's a blue in there in that.
You've,
I just do a
you've picked
close up.
it perfectly. Yes.
It's just got that little bit of that greeny blue in there, and I just thought it doesn't overpower it. It's not too heavy, but it just gives it a little bit of.
Now, so you've
to
got
it.
Sue thinking already. She says, "Oh, some of the Wesley rulers that Angie Atwood brings
Yes,
would be fab to
definitely.
that." We've still got some on the website.
Your Westerlies would fill that space up there beautifully.
Oh, and Geraldine says that she's going to look for the layer cake and misty blue now. We will put the kit together, Geraldine, don't you worry. We've got
Yes.
plenty of the layer cake because I bought, I think, pretty much all my supply I had
Yeah.
because I wasn't going to let that one go.
No. So yeah, we've got the layer cakes and the fabric. We'll put the kit together. But this is, you know, if you've got layer cakes in your stash, this is a pattern that you'll be able to.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot
And
of you have
again-
already bought that one.
It's a block there that's not. It's not complicated block. And in the pattern, I've asked Josh to show different layouts so you get a different effect.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, I think that's important that you know that you don't have to do it the same way as I've done it. I want you to know that there's other ways of doing things.
And that is okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
we all know who we are. Some people like to follow a pattern to the letter and they're happy with that and everything else. And then there's other people that think, oh, well, what would happen if I just turn this one round or whatever? That's me.
Yeah.
So yeah, we all know who we are and we know what we can live with and what we can't.
Anne
so.
would just like to have a tiny piece of your brain and imagination. She says it's just gorgeous.
Oh, bless you.
Just gorgeous.
I don't think you'd like to be in my head, actually. Scare myself sometimes.
It's all good fun. And the other thing to say is that I have been saving every time I do a little walk around the warehouse with my suppliers. I have been getting any leftover like half meters or meters of the extra wide William Morris backing fabric.
Yes.
So I may have a few of those to offer up as well.
This isn't one of Natasha's fabric. This is some I had left over in my stash.
Yeah.
So, sorry, we haven't got this fabric.
but we will bring you some backing fabrics, don't you worry. Naomi, yes, absolutely. She says, can we have the kit for the extra fabric and pattern without the layer cake if we've already bought it already? You are not going to be the only one that already has that layer cake sitting there because you bought it because it's lovely and you haven't done anything with it. We know this.
Yeah.
So what we will do is, as ever, we will offer the pattern individually. We don't tend to put the patterns in the packs that often. Sometimes, but
No,
not
I think
always.
sometimes we feel that it might be more beneficial because you just might want to just do that. But like for this one, we thought you'd probably want just the fabric bundles. Maybe you might want more than one.
So we didn't
So you
want to
wouldn't
put the
want
cost
to
of
buy
that, no.
the pattern as well as you'd have two lots of patterns. So I think sometimes, and you might have fabrics at home that you might think, oh yeah, that'll look really nice in a trip around the world. So
Yeah.
having the pattern separately works,
Yeah.
I think.
So we will make sure, Naomi, that well, do you want just the seeded cotton, which is the seeded, beige, I want to say beige, it's not beige, cream, thank you, that's the word I want. And the misty blue together, or do you want that with some beautiful backing fabric? I'll do options.
Yes.
There you go, I'll do options, that's the way forwards. Okay, perfect. Sorry, I was just looking, someone was asking Val a question, but she says that she's in lockdown in South Wales. So she can't get to a fabric shop. She'll just have to make do with us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Jane.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure.
So are we going to say poppies on Monday?
Yes.
And then that gives people time to buy it and get us to ship it ASAP.
Yeah.
We can get those cut and put together, ready to ship. Yes, Helen, you can use your other William Morris. That's okay as well. And we'll put those kits together and then they'll be all ready to go so that literally when the orders are printed off on Tuesday, they can just go.
Yeah.
Hurrah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank
pleasure.
you. And thank you all lovely people for watching once again. And we will see you on Monday. Excellent. Ah, Jane, you're a clever thing. Thank you very, very much. And Val says, yes, thank goodness for Natasha Makes. Well, we're all grateful.
Yes, some of us more grateful than others.
Take care, you lot. Stay safe and all that jazz. And yeah, I will. Well, I'm on Hochanda tomorrow.
Yes.
A lot.
Double day.
Double
haven't you?
shift tomorrow. Yeah.
Are you on Friday as well?
Yeah. Yeah, they changed my show days and changed the double day to half-term week. Yay! So that's where I shall be. But life as normal carries on here. So thank you ever so much. I will see you if you watch Hochanda on Thursday and Friday. And somebody asked about the SMARF instructions and demoing that again. I will be demoing the SMARF. They finally let me bring it on Hochanda. So I will demo the SMARF at 5 or 6 o'clock tomorrow on Hochanda.
Lovely.
Yes. Great stuff. Take care, everybody. Lots of love. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Ow. HP, don't bite me. I dared move her. You absolute grumpy toad of a cat.